no set topics for today, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. We're 50 videos in, video number 51, so almost a full year. But obviously we posted more than twice a week, but hell yeah.
It feels really good.
No, you're right. We don't have any set topics currently for today. The first thing I want to talk about, honestly, is just like the NBA in general, because I obviously the NBA finals are going on currently. That's Boston's up 3-0. I would argue that every game's been really bad and hard to watch. And it kind of leads me down a direction of the toxic fandom and culture that the NBA has pretty much become at this point. And it's just like a report came out the other day saying that this is the lowest rated final since 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, and I texted you and I was kind of like, at what point do you fire Adam Silver? And then you said, well, he's still making it money. It's like, yeah, it's a profitable company, but if the games aren't growing and the game isn't growing, I would just argue at what point do you have to step in and be like, all right, let's reel this back, because clearly this guy's lost it and doing something wrong. So I don't know, take that as you will. I just think that I just want to talk about the NBA because I think it's an interesting topic, because I used to really love it and now I almost can't stand it.
Yeah, I've got so when we were texting about this, the other thing that I mentioned was just, besides the fact that they're still making money, is I don't know, I agree with you as far as these finals games have kind of sucked. The one thing I was thinking about when as I watch these games is kind of almost when the bubble was being played and the Lakers played the Heat in the NBA finals. I almost kind of look at this same NBA finals like that. It felt like Miami was significantly the lesser team in that NBA finals, which it feels like Dallas is the Miami of this year. And then that Lakers team was really good the entire season before COVID hit and they had to stop. And that's the Celtics of this year. So it almost feels like the Heat went on their run, the Mavericks went on their run, and they're just almost out of juice at this point. And the Celtics are just so much better as a team that I'm looking at the scores right now, and I was watching games, but there got to a point where I was like, okay, these are not they're not, the Celtics are just going to win all of these games. Yeah, the Mavs will make a run and cut it to an 8-point, 7-point game, but after that, it just gets to the point where the Celtics are just that much better of a team and put their foot on the gas and just finish out these games. Because I'm looking at this game 1, Boston 107, Dallas 89. That's an 18-point win in an NBA Finals game. That kind of sucks as a fan. Now, granted, it could have been closer within the last 7 minutes, and the Mavs just couldn't hit a shot, and the Celtics just ended up pulling away. But still, an 18-point win in an NBA Finals game kind of sucks.
That's kind of the point. I mean, you kind of nailed the point right on the head. You want the game down the stretch to be the most intriguing part about an NBA game is down the stretch. And if
For
it's
sure,
not,
it's the last 7 minutes.
If it's not close, then it's just okay, the game sucks. I guess something that sticks out to me right away with the NBA struggles, and I want you to see what you think about this, is why is the NBA so hungry to be star dependent? You hear the media talk about it, you hear people talk about it, and they're always looking for that next star. It's well,
Yeah.
we need Anthony Edwards to step up and be the face of the league. We need this guy to step up and be the face of the league. When I would sit here and think, obviously soccer is super, super popular. A lot of these sports are super popular, but the two in America that seem to be surging are the UFC and the NFL. And they're like not star dependent at all. Like you go back to what the UFC was 15 years ago. I don't know how long it was exactly, but like when Chuck Liddell was like the face of the UFC and people were like, well, once his career's over, like you guys are going to die. Same thing, like fast forward when Conor McGregor was blowing up, they're like, well, when his career's over, like the UFC is going to die. Like the UFC just keeps getting bigger and bigger because they're just focused on making good events.
Yeah.
Like obviously there are some stars that are born within the company, but like if that guy drops off tomorrow, like they're going to throw another banger event and keep the company right up on their feet.
Right.
Same thing with the NFL. You look at the NFL, Tom Brady retired 2 years ago and like ratings didn't like drop off of a cliff, and he was the face of the NFL for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I just think that like I want to hear what you think about that, like the star dependency, and why is the NBA so focused and so hungry to have one guy be the face of the league instead of focusing on putting out a good product?
I think that's just because that's kind of what worked for the NBA, maybe. I don't have like a great answer, but like if I had to kind of go back, like LeBron was the face of the NBA for like 10 years plus. Then I mean I would say I don't really know, like was Kobe at one point the face of the NBA, and like Michael was the face of the NBA, and like Magic and Larry Bird, like those guys, like that was probably like if I'm wrong, you can please.
I think that if you look at the early 2010s, for example, like obviously like Kobe was an important piece of the NBA, but like LeBron was coming up, the Spurs, the Duncan Spurs were probably the biggest team at the time, and they didn't really have any stars. So I think that it really like the Celtics want to
I think Tim Duncan is a star,
time.
but he's not like the face of the franchise star that I think you're referring to.
And then you look at like the Celtics the Celtics won a championship, and like they had like Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, like there wasn't a real like true alpha like on that team where it was like, okay, like that's the best player, this is the best player, this is the face of the league. And I'm just thinking that because what I noticed on social media is like it seems like the only thing that people like fans of the NBA like to do is complain about the players in the NBA. Yeah. Like you look at like I want to bring up this topic is like the Kyrie versus Tatum discussion. Like Tatum has played well for like his entire career, and obviously he's not like dominating this finals, but like all we heard about for the last month and a half is how great Kyrie is, and Kyrie is quite frankly laying an egg in this finals.
Literally didn't hit his first 3-pointer until last night.
And you're not hearing like borderline any Kyrie slander in any way, shape, or form. And everything is just getting shifted to, well, like Tatum's not number one. Tatum's not the best player on this team. And it's just kind of like they're up 3-0. Tatum is being extremely impactful every single game. What's everybody's obsession with like the number one guy on the team? I just don't get it, I guess.
Because I think everybody wants to like find the best player on the best team and like talk about it, even though it seems to me, I think Jaylen Brown, based off of betting lines too, I think Jaylen Brown's going to end up winning the Finals MVP. But everybody just like you're right. Everybody wants to crown like the best player on the best team, and it can't just be like a full team effort because. If you look at it, the Celtics as a whole are just straight nasty across the board. Like they lost Porzingis and they play better without him. They win like 86% of the games without Porzingis and win 76 with him. So like,
yeah, it's crazy.
They're crazy. They're just a complete team. And I don't know, like maybe because maybe Jason Tatum had that first year in the NBA where he took, I think it was year one, he took the Celtics to, what was it, like 7 games against the Cavs and LeBron, that everybody is like waiting for him to take that next step, hypothetically, like as a top 5 player. And
but
maybe
you
he's
look,
just not that. Like maybe
but
he's just
you,
not a top 5 player.
but you're sitting here like I'm not saying you're doing this, but the people are sitting here. Tatum has like legit, like I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like Tatum has legitimately like has like this since he's been drafted. The Celtics just flat haven't been bad. Every single year they make deep runs in the finals. Every single year, like they're in consideration to be there. They win a ton of games in the regular season, like, and Jason Tatum is the leading force for that. So I just like what more like if I was a Celtics fan, which like I don't know, I kind of like I like teams and like I think Celtics are kind of emerging as like one of those teams. It's just like, you know what, like they've been really good for like 7 years and like at a point you have to just like flat respect it. And at the same time, like everybody's like putting the weight of the world on Jason Tatum's shoulders, and he's legit 26 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not even 30 yet.
Like he's not even in the prime of his career yet. So I just think that like how successful that he's been like early on in his career, him and Jaylen Brown, because I think what they're both doing is extremely impressive.
Correct.
And the fact that like he is getting as much like hate from like the national media and like everybody, I just all of this like kind of like ties in together in my head. And I know it might sound like all over the place, and if it does, my bad. But like this is like the toxic basketball culture of like why it's just dying.
Is because of everybody's trying to force a narrative that doesn't even need to be there.
No, that I think the media aspect of it plays a role in it. And honestly, like flat, plain and simple, like the product that is put out on the floor night after night is dog shit. And I don't think that it's like, I just don't think that there's an argument personally. I like when the games are just like it seems like all the games are blowouts. Like even like this postseason has been like pretty bad. I mean, like what? It was like the Celtics, I mean the Phillies and the Knicks, the Sixers and the Knicks had a good series, and then like the Timberwolves and the Mavs had a good series, and that was it. And like it just seems like that should be an issue. Like they should start really trying to focus on how to fix these games.
Yeah, I just think the Eastern Conference, like, I mean that you're right. The Knicks Sixer series was good, but I don't know if I felt as if the Eastern Conference was weak just because it was weak, or because I felt like the Celtics were that much better than all of these other teams in the Eastern Conference. Like the Celtics were dominant all season. They dominated in the playoffs without even having Kristaps Porzingis, and then we see them play last night without him, and they win again. So like, yes, it's probably nice to have Kristaps on your team, but like this Celtics team is just so good that I don't really know. Like, I can't really gauge how good or bad the Eastern Conference is because of how good the Celtics were, that they pretty much just walked through. And now they did have an easier path because the teams they played, those teams did have critical players hurt, but realistically, I don't think they would have lost a series anyways.
It seems like
it's easy to say that now because they're in the finals up 3-0, but I just thought they were the best team, like by far the best team in the East, like all year.
It just seems like both conferences are like shaky. Like honestly, it feels that way. Like I don't like I know that there are better names. Like that's like what the difference is, I think, is like there are better names in the Western Conference. So people like automatically are like, well, that's the better conference. But like the teams, like when it mattered most, like like I guess what I'm trying to get at is like it just feels like nothing's sticking out to me in the NBA. Like it's not like you're not sitting there like none of these teams give me like conviction. They don't like I'm never like sitting there being like, oh, I can't wait to watch this. Like I don't know. Like I watched a clip on X the other day about like the 2016 Cavs and Golden State playing in that game 7, and like that game was insane.
Yeah.
And like it just feels like we're not like reaching that peak of like competitiveness between teams at this point. And it's like, how do you fix that? Because like that's what they need to figure out.
I don't know if that's a fair comparison because that was that like finals and everything was so like that game was sick, but there was a like I think is it safe to assume that you like were a much bigger LeBron fan at that time than you are right now?
It is, but I also think that it's very like I know that that might be like quote
What it
unquote
is.
peak, but like if you're not aiming, and I get that every team that matchup isn't going to be the best every single time, but if you're not aiming to outdo peaks every single season, like I think that's like where it's lost. Like that's where like I'm thinking like from like the NBA perspective on like how to make it better. It's like, yeah, well, like that's not fair. Like 2016 was like special. Well, it's just like, okay, then like how do we make 2024 special?
I mean, I think if we had the answer to that, then we would see it. But I also want to say coming into this finals that I didn't necessarily think it would be a 3. I didn't think we would be 3-0 at this point. Like I thought the Dallas Mavericks were playing good basketball and I thought it was going to be like a legitimate good series.
I
And
mean,
because I was
everybody
excited to see Luca in an NBA finals and I was excited to see Kyrie back, like they were playing good basketball and
everybody in the media, everybody and every multiple of my boys, everybody were all over the Mavs,
Mhm.
all over the Mavs. So that's where you're right. It's just like it felt like okay, like we're gonna have like a good matchup, and then like it just flopped. So, but like that's where like that narrative comes in, like where now like that the Celtics are up 3-0, everybody's like, well, they've been the best team like all season. It's like you guys were like all over the Mavericks, like everybody was all over the Mavericks. So it's just kind of like no arguments like in the NBA seems solid. Everything seems so like fickle and like if one thing happens that's different, it's just like, you know what, like they were the better team anyway. Like it was
right,
like that the entire season. Like
it's
nobody
it's
stands on
hindsight
business.
2020 because we
Yeah.
see this and we're like, oh well, yeah. I mean, I was guilty. I'm exactly guilty of it. Did I? Like I just said, I didn't think it was going to be a. I didn't think that this series was going to go 4 or 5 games. I thought it was probably going to go like 6 or 7, maybe. But
Yeah.
the Celtics, either the Mavs are just running out of juice because they had a tough playoff run here against the what they played the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves, and like that's a three very very good teams. But I don't know, like the Celtics had the best record all season, and now I know that I think like demote the regular season a lot, but which rightfully so, but I still think it holds some value if you're the best team in the NBA regular season. Like I think it is kind of important. Like it doesn't mean nothing.
I think it's fully important because you sit there. That's another issue with the NBA, in my opinion, is like everybody's just like whatever. They just played 82 games, so whatever. Like it's not a big deal. It's just kind of like they just played an entire fucking season.
Yeah.
Like so I just I don't know. I think that like I guess like obviously I'm not expecting us to have the answers. I just want to see what you think, where it's just kind of like why why can't like the NBA figure this out, and what is the issue with the media? Like because that's where I think that like that's what I think's wrong is like the media puts like these weird narratives out, but like nobody watches the games. So like everybody just like bases their opinions and like overall like viewership like based on like what they see on like ESPN or Twitter, because if you look at the ratings of like the games, they're the worst ever.
I I think that that's just kind of what's like I don't have like a great
It's weird. Don't you think that's weird that like
yeah.
everybody has an opinion on basketball but no one watches it?
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird. That's like that is like what I'm trying to like
I think this is what
wrap my head
happened.
around.
I think a lot of people just I think more and more we've gotten to the point where people are just watching highlights of basketball games because it's quicker, it's more convenient than sitting down and watching 4 quarters. Um, and I don't know if like shortening the season is the answer, but this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about like why the UFC and why football are just like steady state increase. There's only 17 games in an NFL season, and with UFC, like your favorite fighter might fight once or twice a year. And so you're going to be more tuned in when you want to watch your favorite player or favorite fighter because it's less often. But I will say the UFC has just done their marketing, and Dana White has done like a phenomenal job of growing that sport and just making it, I don't know, like more interesting to watch and to follow. Like it doesn't feel like you have to have a face of the UFC in order to want to go watch it. Like
Yeah.
I'll still go watch a UFC fight here and there, but like I can't sit here and say that I think of one person as like the overarching guy of the UFC when
Yeah.
if someone were to ask me, I'd be like, "Oh, well like I don't really know a lot of people. Like I know some of the more like a couple of the popular names, but like
Mhm.
I don't know if there's like really one guy." And maybe that's why it's better because there are multiple guys that people want to go watch, and maybe that's what the NBA should lean into rather than just focusing on like it being one player. Like instead of making it Ant Edwards, let's make it like, why don't we try and just like spread the wealth across everybody rather than just try to make Ant Edwards carry the entire league on his shoulders, or like just try to make Luca carry the entire, or Giannis. Like why not just like try to highlight a bunch of these guys rather than just making it on one guy?
And another
Same thing with
thing,
the NFL. Like Patrick Mahomes obviously is like one of the guys that more people know. Travis Kelsey too, because of the whole Taylor Swift thing, whatever. But I don't know. Like I don't think of either one of those guys necessarily as like the face of the NFL. Whenever if somebody were to ask me,
yeah,
I think
it's
there's just a lot of great players,
yeah.
and that's what both of those leagues do really well is highlight their great players better, I guess, than the NBA does.
I just think that I think what comes with the NBA a little bit and is it just feels like the guys that play in the NBA are like so unlikable. Like in my opinion at least,
It
because it's
also
just
feels like not everybody in the NBA likes the NBA.
yeah,
The players.
it does
Like
feel like
Ant
that.
genuinely loves playing, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
But like another guy that comes to mind, like Giannis too. I think Giannis genuinely loves it too, but Jokic seems like he doesn't care,
No.
and he's the best player in the NBA. Devin Booker's another guy that's up there. Like he almost just seems like too cool for the NBA. It's kind of
Yeah.
what it comes across as.
They're so like I just think that like the NBA players, one, I think that they're super unrelatable. And two, like they're such babies, bro. Like it's like you get like they get paid so much fucking money, and like you don't even have to be good to get paid so much fucking money. Jordan Poole makes $150 million, like, and all you hear about is like how bad everything is for the NBA players. It's just like at a point, it's like, shut up, bro. Like you guys literally live the greatest life ever.
Yeah, Jordan Poole makes, I just looked it up. He is signed for 4 years, $123 million. Isn't that pretty much what Justin Jefferson just got?
Yeah. Like
So
that's
like Jordan Poole is on a bad team and he's no longer
awful.
good. And he just got paid as much as the best wide receiver in the NFL.
It's bad. Here,
It's
let me
crazy money. And
yeah.
and that's another, like that goes back to it, like if your demand and viewership is down, the money should also be down too. But it's not. Like these guys are still getting
Well,
insane.
the brand is profitable. Like the
Yeah.
TV deals are profitable. Like the ad deals are profitable. I'm not arguing that. But what I am arguing is that like is it sustainable? Because right now, if you look at it, it's like, okay, everything's great. We're making a ton of money. Things are getting sold for a ton of money. We're going to add 2 more teams that are going to be $5 billion a piece in Seattle and Vegas. Like everything's good, grand, and wonderful. But like at a point, it's just going to be like, if we don't start fixing things and seeing things start to go up instead of things going down, one, is it no, I don't think the NBA will ever die, but I think that it's really fair to sit here and say like the Adam Silver tenure like needs to be at heavy question at this point because it seems like he's doing a bad job.
Okay, so I looked this up on Statista.com. Average TV viewership of NBA Finals games in the United States from 2002 to 2023. So this year, I mean, we're not done with this one, but I don't know where it's going to land. But
low.
So the highest year dating back to 2002 was 2017 at 20.4 mil, and that was the Cavs versus Warriors that you were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So like that's like the best finals viewership that we've had in the last 22 years. So like that's kind of unfair to compare it to that. However,
no, that's the year after the one I was talking about.
Huh?
That was the year after the one that I was talking about.
Well, that was still Cavs Warriors again.
Yeah.
But you were referring to 2016 when the Cavs came back, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that was 20.2 mil. The next year was 20.4, but since then it's gone to 17.7, 15.14, 7.5, 9.91, 12.4, 11.64. So
That's crazy.
I don't know why.
That's crazy.
I don't know why it's going down. Maybe people are just like they just would rather watch like clips, or maybe this matchup like didn't move the needle. I don't know.
And that's exactly like it rounds it out. Like what you just said, like it's too dependent on players, not dependent on the game itself. Like, bro, and honestly, like I see a lot of like NBA Twitter people trying to be like the NBA is like way better than the NFL, like blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. And I'm not here to sit here and say any. At times I've liked the NBA way more than I've liked the NFL, like when I was a kid. But you need to sit there and just be like, well, that's just like not true. Like somebody said something about how low the ratings were, and somebody quote tweeted him was like, do you have any idea how many of these games are illegally streamed? It's like half of the big games are on regular cable, like and like easily accessible. Like literally the NFL puts 15 games a year behind paywall, and like they still get massive ratings. So and one thing that I saw today, I actually quote tweeted it. Somebody said, okay, so we can all admit that the NFL is better than the NBA right now, which I think it has been.
We lost him.
Hello?
Yeah, you cut out. You were talking about the tweet that you quoted.
He said, okay, so I quoted a tweet and said, okay, it's time for that we can all admit that the NFL is better than the NBA right now. So I did some research. The average viewership against all games, 3 for the NFL, 5 for the NBA, was 10 times higher for the NFL. For every 1 person in America watching the NBA, there's 10 people watching football. So it just really goes to show you that they're just not on the same playing field right now.
Does that have like, do you think that has anything to do just with the overall quantity of an NBA versus an NFL schedule? Like, do you think if they cut it to 17 games for the NBA that the viewership would jump? I think probably.
I don't know.
It would definitely go up a little bit, but I still don't think it would go up. Like, what if you just played every team in the NBA one time, and then the teams in your division twice. So
Dude.
that puts you at 35 games for a season.
Well, then those guys are going to make $200 million less a year.
Yeah, that's
like that's the trade-off that you're asking for right now. It's like that how they supplement like all of this money and income and like money in the owner's pockets. Like they're putting events on, not, I don't know, 82 divided by 2, whatever that is, all of their home games.
41.
And they're never going to get rid of that ever. They don't want to. Like the owners are going to be like, fuck no, like this is how I make my money. So I don't think that that's a relevant like argument, because that's never going to change. I think what should change is they need to figure out a way to make these games matter. And once they make these games matter, who's that?
Tyler.
Once they make these games matter, I think that we're going to be able to actually sit around. Like if the games are important, wouldn't you want to watch them when probably 75% of the NBA games like don't really mean shit?
Yeah, I think that making making it a shorter schedule is probably how you add more value to each game, but then you're taking away dollars from players, owners, which these guys don't care. They just want their money. Like they just want to, because to the players, I mean, the NBA has done a better job of like trying to eliminate guys sitting out by, if you don't play this many games, you're not eligible for this award, which you get paid more money if you are in the running or if you win, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like if maybe
it's crazy that we're sitting here.
Players just have to care more about it.
Me and you are literally sitting here talking about how can we make the players care more about the games in the regular season, when we're literally sitting here talking about them making like a $350 million contract, and we're literally like making like 28 to $35 million a year, and we're like, okay, like how can we figure it out? Like it's a culture problem. It starts from the top down. And that's why I'm rounding it back into this again. I just think that the answer to fix a lot of these things is they need somebody else other than Adam Silver to do this. I do have a way to fix the NBA finals though. Okay, I genuinely do. Finals? So I don't know if anybody has ever been to Super Bowl week ever. It's one of the most electric weeks of all time. I went to the Super Bowl in Scottsdale last year when the Eagles and Chiefs played. The entire week is an absolute madhouse. Every celebrity in America is there. People fly in. There's so many people there. Every NFL player is there. There's so much stuff to do, so many events, so much cool stuff to see. What I would do if I were in a position of power in the NBA is I would make the NBA finals a week-long event in a city. So complete neutral site, no home court advantage. So we can sit here and be like, okay, like we're going to use the Heat for example, their arena, and the Celtics and the Mavs make it to the finals. They go down to Miami for the entire week. And everybody, that allows more people to go to the events, more people to be at the games, like the whole nine. And I feel like it would give the finals a little bit more of a grandiose feeling rather than it just feeling like another game on the schedule.
Right, because you could still maintain, like my follow-up to that was going to be, okay, then what is the seating? Like, why would you want to have home court advantage? But you would still have home court advantage throughout the playoffs up until the NBA finals.
Exactly.
Just like in the NFL. You have home games. If you're the number one seed, you play at home until you play in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Copy the NFL. Yep. Like, and another thing, and you help me with this, because I've heard the baseball playoffs thing, and I thought it was interesting. The first round of the playoffs is 3 games, correct?
So there's like a play-in game that's like the wild card 1 game play-in, and those are for the wild card teams, I believe. Hold on, let me just look this up real quick.
Yeah, look it up.
But yeah, it's definitely shorter in the earlier rounds as opposed the um, to the later rounds. So bracket style, 12 teams, increase from 10. Single. Okay, sorry. So the wild card series is a best of 3.
Best of 3.
So number 1 seed is the best league record. Number 2 seed is the second best division winner. Third best. 4 seed is the best record among the wild card teams. 5 is the second best record among wild card teams, and 6 is the third best record among wild card teams. 1 and 2 get first round byes, advance directly to division. For the wild card series, the number 3 will face number 6, and the 4 will face 5. So the wild card series is best of 3.
So that's when you sit there, because I watch the MLB.
And then it goes, hold on. And then it goes to division series, which is best of 5. And then championship series is, I think championship is 7 and World Series is 7.
And that's, bro, if you take what, like, let's just take that for example. Let's take what the MLB does for their playoffs. Like,
so 3-5-7-7.
3-5-7-7. And then for the championship round, let's throw everybody into a neutral city for a week and make it like a fucking banger event. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that. Listen, I'm not saying that I solved the NBA's problem, but that would solve the NFL. I mean, the NBA's postseason problems for sure, because that would make, bro, every game at that point would matter. Like from round 1 on, every game matters.
Yeah. The cool thing would be is if you're a fan of either one of now, first off, going to Dallas and going to Boston, those are 2 like good spots to go. However, rather than, if you're a fan, you could just stay the entire week, or stay the entire, like, you could stay for a week and play. They should also play every other night.
Every other night.
You could stay for, like, I don't know, like a full week and catch 3 games, 4 games if you're lucky. You could end up staying for a week, have the first like 3 days build up into the NBA Finals, which is pretty much what you were talking about. And then the rest of like the next 7 days, like you could stretch it out over like 2 weeks if you play every other day and it goes 7 games.
Brother,
And
I'm letting you know right now, if you're going to the NBA Finals to begin with, you're fucking loaded. Like,
yeah, if you're, that's exactly how it is with the Super Bowl.
It's exactly how it is with the Super Bowl. So like the people who are going to be at the finals, whether it's in Boston, Dallas, wherever, they'll be in Miami watching the games. So
yeah,
like,
for sure.
That's why.
But then again, does that cut away from like the actual, like, you could still go buy an individual ticket, but say you are looking to stay, like you could buy a pass and you could, for, I don't know, a shit ton of money, obviously, and stay for the whole thing. Or if you didn't want to, you could just stay and you could buy a pass for like the 3 media / party / NBA events for the first 3 days. And then you buy like 2 tickets for the games, or you buy 1 ticket, or you just buy your own ticket. Like you still have like the option to buy. I think
the way that it works and is probably like, and I don't know how the finals works, like were people buying game 7 tickets, and like if you buy that game 7 ticket, like are you going to get refunded for that since the event's not happening?
I think
is that how that works?
I think you do get refunded for.
So it sounds like what would happen then is the exact same situation is games 1 through 7 will all be sold as tickets.
Like individual per game ticket.
Yeah, an individual per game ticket. And like I said, if you're loaded and going to the finals, you can figure out a way to pretty much go to every single game anyway. So
maybe they should just make it so you can only buy the first 4 tickets, and then they do like some type of like crazy raffle system for like the last 3 games.
listen, I'm not sitting here saying that we have the problem solved for the NBA, but I do think that that would solve the postseason problem because that like we said, like making the playoffs 3, 5, 7, 7, and then making the NBA finals a destination instead of going back and forth to city and giving it like that Super Bowl week feel and making it a grandiose event. For me, that makes the NBA postseason way more important than it has ever been ever.
Yeah, and if you have those first couple days, just like how the NFL does, like, and if it's in fucking South Beach, bro, think of all of the NBA players that don't pull up to Boston or Dallas that are gonna pull up to South Beach.
No doubt. Or LA. Like
Or the guys that already have houses there. Like, how many guys in the NBA already have a house in Miami?
And dude, I'm letting you know right now that if it was like NBA finals week or whatever,
Yeah.
no matter what city it's in, every player would go because
Yeah.
it's that type of like the media coverage, all of the people that will be there. It's such a good opportunity for like networking and like doing what you need to do that everybody would be there. It's the same thing that they do at the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, that would.
something to think about.
And if you are like you know how there's like Complex Con with like, I don't know where they have it I think it changes every year, but it's pretty much just like this huge convention of like all of these like clothing and streetwear brands and whatnot. Like the NBA is like also a lot of those guys are like very fashion forward. Like say you have like a pop-up spot like that in one of those days or like somewhere down there in Miami for every one of those days and you're sending those brands and you're sending those like companies to this like NBA finals con type deal. And then you're even touching like a different realm of this entire situation. Cause like, I don't really think the NFL does that, but I would say that the NBA is more like fashion forward perhaps than the NFL is. So like they could lean into that too. And then you could have like, I know the NFL does this, like concerts at night. Like they do that
Well,
for
you know how,
the clubs and shit in
bro. Yeah,
Scottsdale they were.
yeah. Like when
Drake
I
was
was
in the club.
Drake was there. Travis Scott, like Sway Lee, like every. That's what I'm trying to say is like you make it if you make it an event, like it doesn't matter what. Like people will come
Yeah.
if you're looking at if you're like sitting there being like oh like the NBA finals week is coming up like and it's for a week and a half like it's gonna be fucking crazy like
Yeah.
that's gonna be a big deal and bro like that would make I don't know I think it would be sick bro I really do.
I mean, they don't have anything to lose as far as like not giving that a shot. So like I think that would just bring like a nice like spark to like imagine if you get to an NBA like imagine you get like a matchup of like the best team in the East and the best team in the West. Now, I don't think the Dallas Mavericks were the best team in the West the entire season, but I think the Celtics were the best team in the East the entire season. Say we end up getting like say we got the matchup of like Nuggets and or like honestly fuck it. Say we got like say the Lakers ended up being really good and they were the number 1 in the West. Say we ended up getting like Lakers Celtics down in Miami for a week. Like
that'd be crazy.
That is the NBA dream is to get the two like have that matchup brought to the 21st century basically because we haven't had that in how long?
Yeah, I think that would be a like a fever dream. Like that'd be sweet. Like I said, it'd just be a massive event, and like I said, every single person would be there, so it's sick. But I think the next thing that we should talk about is me and Bo talked about it when you weren't on. Like, there's two things. One, I don't know why anybody would ever want to take the Lakers head coaching job first. And Dan Hurley like not taking that job was like good for him. Like unless if somebody looked at him and was like LeBron's leaving, we're trading AD and we are like legitimately starting fresh. then I would be like, okay, like smart move, take it. But I don't know why any coach would want to like go to the Lakers when LeBron's there, when LeBron like is literally delusional as fuck.
So, I mean, that's why we're seeing either a rookie head coach or James Borrego as the two options. Rookie head coaches in JJ Redick. So, I mean, Dan Hurley is like one of the best college basketball coaches ever, I guess, at this point. Like, no, who else? Like, not many teams have gone back to back in college basketball. Maybe not even. I don't know if it's ever happened. I'm sure maybe once or twice, but I don't know. Don't quote me. But he also like gets on his players, man, and that's just like not how the Lakers team would respond. Like it's different when you're coaching like the way that he coaches in college, because these guys aren't making $50 million a year to have somebody yell at them. But also, like, I can't blame him for not taking that job because it's good for college basketball. I think him staying there, like, and staying at UConn and watching, like, I loved watching UConn. It was really fun, and they just beat the piss out of everybody. And he has a chance to win 3 national championships in a row. So I think it was the right move for him. But like I said, his style just, I don't know if it would translate directly to the Lakers. And I'm sure he recognized that. Like,
that's what I'm talking about, though, with like the like back to like our original conversation
thing
is
about
like
NBA players are prima donnas.
Why? Like, it's crazy, bro. Like, you see NFL coaches like legit, like you saw Bill O'Brien chew out Tom Brady, who's the best quarterback in the league. Like, the fact that these grown men, like these NBA players, are like too good to like do all of that and like be held accountable. That's why I think like this player empowerment era is like completely dead. And me and you are going to do an episode on that at some point. But it's crazy that we're sitting here being like, yeah, like Dan Hurley would be the best option for the Lakers, the head coach, but LeBron doesn't really, and AD and all those guys, they don't really like getting coached. They just like doing whatever they want. It's like,
yeah,
what is going
Dan Hurley
on?
Is
bro?
by far the best available coach on the market, and I use available in quotes, air quotes, because I don't know if he was ever like really gonna go to the Lakers. And I also, when I saw that they were offering a like massive deal, and then they gave him what? It was like 8 it was like 8 years for like 70 million. I was like, why? That's not a massive deal.
yeah.
It was 70 million over 6 years. So they're pretty much giving him like just over 10 mil a year. I mean, I can't blame him. When I saw massive deal, I was thinking like fucking 8 years for like $100 million.
I don't know. I liked what Bill said. I don't know if you listened to what Bill Simmons said, where he was just like, everybody's sitting around saying that like the Lakers like don't have enough money or like something like that. And he's just like, that makes absolutely 0 sense.
I heard that as well. I heard that people were saying that, and I was like, I don't know if that's true, but the Lakers are one of the biggest brands in the world.
Yeah.
So how do they not have money? They sell out every game, and it's not like they were bad last year.
No, and like Bill said, like if you're that strapped on cash, sell 5% of the Lakers, and you're loaded.
Yeah, because like, regardless of what you do, like I don't know, unless you're Michael Jordan, and even he made a shit ton of money when he sold the Hornets. Like, you almost have to do nothing and make 0 decisions. And even then, I still think your NBA team is going to go up in value. Like, you have to
right now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. These teams are going to hold their value and continue to grow pretty much regardless of anything that happens
Yeah,
from an ownership standpoint.
Bill said that like the Vegas team and the Seattle team they're just gonna be like, you need $5 billion. Like that's how much it
Correct.
costs.
Yeah.
So these franchises are extremely valuable. So yeah, I'm right there with you. So
Especially if you go to Vegas and that's like a premier like tourist destination,
yeah.
and it's literally just a party there all year. Like the money that's going to be flowing in when you are the team in Vegas is going to be absurd, especially if you end up being good.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks. Like I don't know. I don't usually like talking about the NBA, and it just seems like the NBA is like not in a pure place currently. Like I know that sounds like weird to say, but it feels bad. Like everything about it feels bad. The numbers are bad. Like the players are prima donnas. Like you can't, like we're sitting here saying like, okay, like a guy can't even take a job with one of the most like historic franchises and biggest brands in America because like he's probably just gonna get fired because of LeBron. It's just kind of like, I don't know. The NBA just seems way too scattered at this point, and I would love to see it get cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, and going back to the Lakers job, like, is it getting to like, do you? It's pretty much just like the fact that LeBron is there, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially if you're a guy like, especially if you're coming from UConn and you've already won back-to-back national championships, like you know what you're kind of getting into when you venture from the college world to the NBA world, as far as like how you kind of have to deal with players. And we've seen that across football and obviously different sport, but we've seen some of these phenomenal college coaches try to take their talents to the NBA or NFL, and it just hasn't worked out. And that could very well, like I said, be because of coaching style. Like college kids are going to respond better than NBA players, at least until, I mean, who knows? Shit, the NIL, like you got a 5-star quarterback going in there at making $13 million, and he's like, "Damn, I don't have to listen to this old man yell at me. I'll just go somewhere else." So who knows? Maybe like at least as of right now.
Why is it that football is the only sport, like the NFL is the only sport where like it is like respected upon like hierarchy of the team? Like
What do you
like
mean?
like the head coach gets a ton of respect no matter what. Like the OC gets respect. Like everybody is respected in that building who's like an authoritative figure, and like the players can like stay in their place. Like you're even saying right now, like, oh, like in NIL with like college, like these kids are just gonna be like, oh, like I'm making so much money, I'll leave. And I agree with you. I think that will happen. But like when has it ever gotten to the point like where like everybody just like quits when like it slightly is something that they don't like it's like you are literally paid generously for what you do. It's like oh, I want a really good job but I don't like the hours. It's like, well, you got to work the long hours if you want to make the money. So like there's going to be times like where you have to like tough things out, and I just think that like that that NBA culture and like the culture in college football, like very much seems like when like the going gets tough, it's like, all right, well, I'll just transfer and go somewhere else because like it's better. And like, I don't know. This shit feels weird is what I'm trying to get at, I guess.
What is your first thought when I present this comment to you? Coaching matters more in college sports. Coaching matters more in college basketball than in the NBA, and coaching matters equally as much in college football as it does in the NFL. What do you think about that? Like pretty
I
much it just feels like coaching doesn't matter as much in the NBA as it does in NFL, college football, college basketball. What do you think? And that
it
could just be
feels like
because of, like, go ahead.
it feels like coaching. It feels like if you're not like the top 15 coach in college football, like you're moving constantly. Like those guys are like literally like just like in and out of doors, going all over the place, like not really loyal to a brand. Like the most iconic guys like that we've seen around is pretty much just like Saban. Like that's pretty much it that we have. Like right then like I think Kirby Smart's going on like a pretty good run now, but like other than that, like bro, when we were like the college coaches are just it's a revolving door, it feels like. So
I think
I think we could argue that like it's not that important in college football either.
I mean, I was gonna say we could put Dabo Sweeney in there. I think
Dabo, yeah, sorry.
he's definitely in that list. But I don't. My thought on that is, you look at the coaches that end up staying at universities for longer periods of time, and it looks like they end up having more success than those coaches that are just revolving door.
It does, and it does seem that way, and that's a good point. But I do think that like coaching, it doesn't matter like as much at the college football level. It seems to be more like brand, like figuring that out. Like Oregon has found a way to like encapsulate a brand. Like I think Dan Lanning will probably be there for a while, it feels like, but it seems like we can count like the amount of coaches who have been like really loyal on like on two hands, it feels like.
Okay, so let me rephrase that, because I'm more so talking about like the X's and O's part of the coaching, not necessarily who is in the coaching spot.
I think that
Like, it feels like you need a better head coach in college basketball and in college football than you would in the NBA.
but you see like a coach who's good in the NBA that makes like all the difference. Like Missoula
Right.
is like
I know
that
that was my like other thing that I was thinking about too. I
because
was like,
it
well,
seems like if you have and that's maybe that goes back to like our point where it's like there's only like 10 really significant coaches in college football, but there's a million teams. There's probably 5 really significant coaches in NBA, but there's only 32 teams. But if you have one of those like really great X's and O's coaches, like sets you over the top. I mean, we can sit like literally like we're sitting here currently like talking about like coaches and like this, that, and the third, and like LeBron since he's left. I think Ty Lue and Spoelstra are like probably some of the best head coaches that we've seen since we've like been alive, like
100%.
since we've been alive, and that's the only time LeBron has like won. And like since he's left, okay, he won that championship in the bubble. I have an opinion on it. A lot of people think whatever. Like I don't really view that as like a real championship, although it is. But, and I know that that's like controversial and people would heavily disagree with that, but he deserves it. Proud of LeBron. But when it really felt like it was like big time basketball, like he's only won with like those top tier head coaches.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you're
it's
definitely right.
It's interesting. And then now since he's gone away from that, like same shit. I think the same shit with KD. Like he leaves Steve Kerr, and now like it's over. Like these guys are just like act like they know everything, and then like when it really comes down to it, like without that iconic head coach or that really tough head coach, like they haven't done shit realistically. So I just think it's like I don't know. I just think it's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand, like, rather than trying to go like team up with players, like obviously you have to have a good team, but I think we've just seen that. I mean, when I presented that question earlier, that was more of just like a let's see what, like, let's talk about it rather than like how I actually felt. I do think coaching is definitely important. Especially when it comes down to like the nitty gritty of these games. But I don't understand why players aren't teaming up and trying to go play for like, and now maybe because these teams already have good players or maybe because they don't have the money to afford, but why wouldn't you want to go play for like a great head coach rather than just go play. Like, you have to have great players, but like maybe it should be a priority of, hey, I want to go play with a great head coach and sacrifice, like, rather than playing with a superstar, maybe just play with a lot of really quality players around me. Because it seems like we're to the point where you can't just have 3 really good players and then nobody to fill in the gaps.
Bro, we're dumb as hell and it didn't even mention Popovich and the Spurs teams for like 20 years. So
Well,
that's
yeah, that
fun.
was for sure.
That's funny.
I think we both just knew that was in the running.
Yeah,
So.
I just was thinking that when you were talking, I was like, we didn't even mention Pop. But like, bro, I don't know. Listen, like, I get wanting to kick it with your homies. I get wanting to like do all that. I just think that the NBA has gotten like like way too casual. Like, everything just seems like way too casual. Like, everybody's boys, like this, that, and the third, like blah blah blah. Like, no, like fucking. I miss when like Kobe hated Phil Jackson's guts, and Kobe hated the fuck out of Shaq, but they still won championships because they were all great. Like,
He also hated every other player. Like when he fucking ran through Pau Gasol in the
Olympics.
The Olympics.
Yeah,
and they were best friends.
exactly. But like, that's, I don't know. It's bad, dude. It's bad.
But also, like, Kobe,
this is event. It's turned into a venting sesh. Like, this
Kobe
whole
was also like one of the most like psycho / hungry / best like players of all time. So like, we can't really expect everybody to have that same mentality as Kobe Bryant. But
you said that earlier. You said like it seems like half the dudes in the NBA don't even want to play in the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like, we don't need like Kobe Bryant type insanity from everybody, but if we could just like take it like maybe halfway, then that would be kind of fun. Like, one thing, like during that Timberwolves Mavs series, Luka and Rudy Gobert were like kind of going back and forth a little bit. And I don't care about Rudy Gobert. Like, I don't like him, but just like that little like chippiness, it doesn't feel like there is that much of it anymore. And I don't know, maybe somebody fucking hit somebody.
No, seriously. I'm right with you. It's just I think it's really safe to sit here and say that it sounds like me and you are very much ready for football and college football to come back on. That's what this sounds like, honestly. And it turned into a little bit of a venting sesh, but I'm interested if like anybody listens and like wants to throw a comment on like what you guys think about the NBA. Like, I'd appreciate that because I want to know if like we're tripping or like, but it seems like we just want to see, like, when we were younger, like mid 2010s and before that, like, it was special. Like, the NBA was special, dude. Like, it was a lot of great games, a lot of amazing players, like, and I just miss it. And I hope that we can get back to it.
I mean, I think we still have a lot of amazing players. Like, I think the talent level in the NBA is higher than it's ever been.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I keep going back to like, I'm right there with you. Like, I enjoyed watching it when we were like back in high school and whatnot because of like, I loved watching LeBron. Like, I still enjoy watching him, but
bro, you were watching literally were watching the Raptors with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Like, like that was like, I literally remember when we were like 16 and that was like your squad.
I loved watching them. I loved DeMar DeRozan, and that team was like, those teams were sick. Like, Drake was pulling up and like they were good.
Sorry for cutting you off, but I was thinking, like, you just said that, like, I really like LeBron. It was like, it wasn't even about just LeBron. Like, you were watching the fucking Raptors.
I was.
And, like, and you like loved them.
Yeah, I was deep. I was very into watching the Raptors with that DeMar DeRozan. Like, I love DeMar DeRozan, and they did him so wrong, but that's for another day. I mean, it paid off for them anyways. They got a chip, but yeah, I you're right. I was big on the Raptors back then too, but that was because of like DeMar DeRozan. Like, I loved watching him, and that team was fun, and those games were good. And like, when they weren't playing the Cavs, I was full on like, let's go Raptors. Like, but I'm trying to get to that point with the Magic. Like, I enjoy watching the Magic, but I don't like, they're just not, they made the playoffs obviously, but they're just not, none of these games hit like they used to. No. And I don't know, maybe we're just old.
No, we're not. That's not the case because I literally sit in front of the TV for 20 hours on a Saturday and 16 on a Sunday and watch
It's
every
true.
single football game. So that's where I just think you're wrong. Respect.
Yeah.
And I mean that respectfully. Because bro,
I know.
you know it's bad. You know it's bad when you put like I legit put real money on the Celtics and didn't care. Like I didn't even like I was
Correct.
watching the game and I was just like, okay. Like nothing mattered.
This is
I-
great.
I was like, what the fuck? This is stupid. But hey, let's change the topic because I think you have some stuff that you want to get into and let's do it. But I want to break some news. It's not really breaking news, I'm just stealing it. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have reached a 5-year, $275 million extension with my guy Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
So, hey, Trevor Lawrence is my guy.
Trevor Lawrence.
He is officially the dumbest statement of all time, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Is literally the worst statement because who's next? Who's next in line to get it? Shefty tweeted that. What is it? 5 years.
5
I'm pulling up the
years.
tweet. Yep, 5 years, $275 million extension, including $200 mil guarantee, $142 mil at signing.
That's my guy.
Literally putting pen to paper, you're getting $142 mil right in the bank.
Bro, imagine you're sitting at home and you go to bed and then you wake up tomorrow morning and you like roll over on your phone and like for my bank account I have like a facial recognition and I like look at it and sign in and you just have a wire for $142 million like straight to your bank account. That'd be crazy.
You know what I would do? Nothing, because the job isn't done.
Yeah, I'd go to the gym because
I'd be
need to win a
pissed.
Super Bowl. I have to
I'd
win
be
a
so
Super Bowl.
pissed.
Yeah, fuck that.
I'd literally be so mad because I didn't have a Super Bowl ring. No,
So
but no,
cool.
that's great. Good for Trevor Lawrence. We're gonna see. We are gonna see what happens here. I said this in one of the.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said this like literally like a month ago. I was like, the Jacksonville Jaguars can legitimately be fucking cat shit, and everybody will be gone out of that building besides Trevor Lawrence. He is that guy.
I said to you on one of these a couple weeks ago, I need to see Trevor Lawrence step up to the plate this year and
He will
be the guy, like be the number one overall pick. He lost one game in college and in high school, or no games in college and high school.
Yeah.
I need him to
They say
do
the
that.
same shit about Kyler too.
Huh?
They say the same shit about Kyler, which, bro,
I need that from him too. He got
Bro.
paid he got a shit ton of money.
bro, respectfully, I don't
needs to
know
take
why. Kyler, if you see this clip, one, you're my guy. We won a fantasy championship together, and you can never take that away from us. Two, you're my favorite player in the NFL. Three, I don't know why you blocked me on Instagram, but if I did something, like, I'm sorry. Like, I think what happened is I messaged you something stupid after one of my early exits from fantasy football playoffs. And if I did that, I don't know if I did, but if I did, that's the only thing I could think of. If I did, I'm sorry. And I hope that we can put it behind us because you're my favorite player in the NFL. So if
Andrew Ford, if you're watching this, you can tell Kyler Murray to unblock Steve now.
Yeah, Andrew, if you see this, please fucking show this to him. Sorry, K1. MVP season loading with you and
Marvin. I wanted to start off with that just as like it being a sad day, a bad day, and your favorite player blocking you. That's got to be a terrible feeling, man.
It had to be for a while. It's had to be for years.
Wait, but didn't you post a video of him and Baker Mayfield?
But I didn't post it, and I could never tag him in it. And I was always like, does he not have Instagram?
I think he deleted it or like deactivated it for a minute, but he's definitely back. I looked today.
I'm so pissed. Hey, I'm sorry, K1. I hope you can forgive me. You're my fucking guy.
Yeah, you should forgive him. Steve loves you.
I literally go to bat for you more than anybody that you know, probably more than your fucking family. Remember that.
He absolutely does. I see a lot of Kyler Murray slander, but there is zero coming from the Stephen Boris camp
because he's he's not the best, but he is in my like he's a top 10 quarterback. I've seen him do it. Like he's a dog. Like he will be healthy this season. And I already said it, sleeper team to make the playoffs, Cardinals, because K1 is that guy.
I think at some point I need to do I think we should do like a quarterback breakdown once we get a little bit closer. Honestly, maybe when the NBA Finals is over, because God knows like what we're going to have to talk about. We have so much football and stuff that's upcoming, obviously, but once the NHL Finals, like even though we don't really talk about those, and the NBA Finals are over, like we're about to hit the dog days of summer here.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is like not a tier list, but like put like a bunch of guys into a couple categories of like what you need from them this upcoming season type of situation is what I'm kind of thinking of.
I was thinking that we could do an episode where we just mew the entire time. Yeah, but that sounds great. What else do you got for me?
I just wanted to do like a brief overview of we never talk baseball in here, and I'm not expecting you to have much to say about it, but I want to talk about my Yankees for a second.
They suck.
They did just lose today, which sucks. I typed this all up yesterday, but 48-22, second best record in the MLB behind the Philadelphia Phillies. But that doesn't matter. My guy Aaron Judge is on a absolute tear, and I think that if baseball seems like it's starting to grow like a little bit more, and it seems like more and more people are starting to become interested in, and I think that that's partially because of this guy. But he did start off the season slow, but over these last 32 games, he's been going absolutely insane. So over the last 32, he's hitting .409 with 17 home runs, 39 RBIs, and 155 OPS, which is the highest any major league player has had over a 32 span game since 04 Barry Bonds. I'm pretty sure 04 Barry Bonds was the year that he got walked more than he struck out. So like it was just getting to the point where like there was also a point where they had bases loaded and they walked in a run because they didn't want to face Barry Bonds. That's the type of shit that this guy Aaron Judge is on right now.
That's crazy.
He's currently hitting .309, which is 8th in the league, 25 homers first, 62 RBIs tied for first, 1.149 OPS, which is first. This was outdated, but yesterday I had they were 3.5 games up on the Orioles. And then all of this is being done without their best pitcher. Garrett Cole just threw his second rehab start Sunday, and then I think he's throwing again either tonight or tomorrow. So then he'll be back next week against the Orioles. But yeah, that's talking baseball.
I love that. That's awesome. I am going to the Phillies Diamondbacks game next Friday. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who are you going there with?
Andrew's flying into town, and Stubbs hooked us up with tickets.
Hell yeah. Are you guys like staying down here?
Nah.
Oh, you're going home after the game?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Is Andrew just flying home for that game and then going back out, or what's the... No, also shout out Andrew for getting engaged. I don't know if that was brought up.
Bro.
What?
They already called that shit off.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Shout out Andrew. I'm in his wedding. Like, I don't know. I hope
so is he just flying in for the game, or what's he flying in for?
No, he's done until training camp.
Oh, so he's just gonna what? Is he just gonna post up here for a little bit, or what? Well, not
for
here,
like a month, I think.
That's so sick.
So a lot of baseball games with Andrew coming up.
All right, well, I'm here. Let me know when you guys are venturing down there, and maybe I'll try and slide by.
That sounds great. Maybe we can get something to eat or something. I don't know. Colton's going too. His broke ass.
I haven't seen Colt in a minute. I haven't seen Andrew in a minute, so I would love to see both of those guys.
Word. I'll let you know what's up. Do you have anything else for me?
No, I think that's it. I
So I
think
can eat so I can eat dinner.
yeah, I have to go do that as well. Damn, it's 7 o'clock. We were on here for what do you got?
I don't know. I think chicken Alfredo. It looks like it.
Did you make that or did you go buy it?
I don't know. It just got sat on my desk
Oh, by your pops or your mom?
by my bitch.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
by my
sick,
dad.
man. You're really
Uh,
sick.
Hey, brother. It's good talking to you. Maybe you won't go on vacation again for another month.
Dude, I was on vacation for 1 week.
You've
I
made
was
one
on vacation.
you've made one appearance on the channel in literally like a month and a half.
Oh, please.
In a full month, you made one appearance. That's a fact.
What was the last one?
3 weeks ago. And then before that, 4 weeks
Why was
ago.
what was I gone from those 2 weeks?
Capping.